And we are live. All right.
Live on
We
air.
Here we are. We don't know how long we're going to be live for. For those tuning in, this is Matt. He's all the way over in Dubai. Apparently the capital of the shittiest internet in the world.
It's not great. It's not great, but we're finding ways to get around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't discuss what ways we're using, but we're finding ways.
Yeah. So guys, this is Radical Hangout 23A. More than likely, we're going to have a part two for this when Maddie finds some better Wi-Fi. But we're going to talk today about both our legacies. We're going to talk about bartending in Dubai and legacy in Dubai, as well as parenthood and how to survive legacy while being a father or a mother. So, Maddie, please introduce everyone, man.
So I'm Matt. I'm out in the UAE, so we are top four for the UAE. We've got about a month before our final. And my cocktail is called Meu Avi, which is my grandfather in Catalan.
In Catalan, interesting.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a story behind that. I can hear it.
There is absolutely a story behind that. My wife's Catalan, so we were in where were we? We were in Palamos, like kind of about 100 kilometers north of Spain. We went to Sitges, where Bacardi was from, and they've got like a Casa Bacardi, so you go and you have a look around, and it's got a bit of history, and then at the end they teach you how to either make a mojito or a Cuba Libre. So like a bit of a busman's holiday at the end, just like we're gonna learn how to make a mojito. Like brilliant. And then we were at these it was like Festa time, and there was like we were down at the harbour, and they have like these habaneras, like three guys with guitars singing like fisherman sailor songs. And one of them's called El Meu Avi, and it's like this really kind of important thing in kind of Catalonia. And it's kind of like the people that went across the seas, the sailors and the fishermen. I wanted to I thought it would be a good name for a cocktail at the start, and then we'd just be at Casa Bacardi, and I thought it'd be a pretty good name for a legacy cocktail. And then started reading into it a bit, and I think like I kind of wanted to do I wanted to do my cocktail not even so much about is that your cat?
Yeah, it's a cat, and it's a piece of shit.
um, but yeah, so I wanted to be like a bit of legacy, if not like even not like what one person does, but like a kind of cultural legacy thing. Um, sort of like between Cuba and Spain and what people kind of moved around, and then I'd kind of put that together, and then I was kind of sitting here thinking like, Cuba was called the land of opportunity in Spain in like the early 1800s, and it was kind of this place where people would go. And then I was kind of sat here in Dubai going, well, everybody's come here. Like there's nobody in this competition who's ever in this competition who's born here. There's no Emiratis here. Like everybody's kind of brought something in. Um, and people kind of stay for a little bit, they stay for a long time, but everybody kind of puts something into the mix and is eventually going to take something away. And it was kind of like more like kind of what they brought back and how the two cultures came to.
I'll tell you what, that Wi-Fi over there is absolute trash.
Yeah, not particularly good. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to be like a kind of story of this kind of cultural melting pot, which is Dubai, a 21st century land of opportunity that everyone's come to, brings a little, takes a little, and you know, every because it's such a new city as well, everybody and the bartending scene is very new as well. It's like people really can come here and leave some kind of legacy, and everybody brings something, and none of us are going to probably stay here forever. So we're all going to take something away, and we're all going to be kind of better off. And the kind of grandfather bit as well kind of it fitted well in because it was kind of, as you were talking about kind of parenthood, I came here with a 6-month-old baby. She was 2 yesterday. And it's kind of like you don't know, like, Bacardi's such like a family like institution within the drinks industry, and it all kind of stems from one person's decision to leave their home and kind of cross the ocean. And like everybody who's involved in that family, you can't comprehend what their lives would be like if one person hadn't made that decision. And kind of, I don't know what impact my decision to come here will have on my daughter, kind of any more than I know what like my granddad or my parents' little decisions they made, what impact they've had on my life. So it's kind of, you're kind of, I said in my kind of my presentation, like our legacy, we're the legacy of the footsteps that we walk in, and kind of whichever direction they go.
And that's a really existential thought, and I think it's if you were to zero in on that, it's a theory that we're all aware of, but as bartenders, we don't really have a connection to it. Like I think this idea of not knowing those that came before your grandparents, and how their decisions have influenced and carved a path for you. That's a really interesting point, man. Really fantastic. So explain to everyone what's inside my grandfather. Okay, no, that sounds kind of gross when you say it like that. I just can't pronounce my Avi.
Meu Avi. Carta Blanca. It's like I kind of wanted to use some ingredients that were kind of from Cuba and from Europe. So Carta Blanca, and it's like lemon and basil. So like kind of very European. Herbs and citrus go particularly well with Bacardi. We all know that. So I do like a lemon sherbet. So like leaving the lemon peels and sugar overnight, and then adding the juice in the next day. So it gives like you get all the flavors of, like when you zest in the top of a drink, like a martini, you're getting all those oils in the skin, which don't really get used so much in kind of tiki style and rum drinks, I think, quite enough. Fresh basil, celery bitters, really kind of freshens it up. And then I use some Saint Germain as well, just as a wee link back to kind of the Bacardi brands, the story there.
Mate, you're following a very similar approach to how I construct Cubist. I'm not going too far out of the box. I'm keeping it really. I keep it quite native to things that people know, things that people can relate to, right? I also use Carta Blanca. I think it's a really great canvas. I think it helps propel so many of the flavors off it, because it's not so deep and not so rich like Ocho or Cuatro. I've got honey, lemon, same thing. Like there's the same premise as your basil and lemon. People love honey; it's approachable. People love lemon; it's not too overly zesty. I've got prosecco. I've got martini. Fair enough. That's basically an airmail cocktail, right? But then I wanted to add something a little bit different, a little bit kind of contrasting. So that's where the bar spoon of Pastille came in.
Yeah.
And I kind of say the same thing with your celery bitters. Celery bitters is one of those things that one too many dashes and you're going to kill a drink. And
Absolutely.
It can be quite confronting for people who aren't used to that kind of really rooty, earthy kind of bitter tone, but used in the right amount, used in the right way, and it really livens a drink up.
Yeah, well, certainly with celery bitters, you found that it depends on the dasher as well in the bottles. Like if you're using like a bitter truth bottle, it's coming out a lot quicker than if you're using a dasher. So you're like a couple of dashes with the bottle, but if you're using like a nice like glass one, you're kind of going for 4, and it's like you really got to kind of like you've got to kind of have a little practice with your equipment before you do like any behind any bar. Otherwise you're going to absolutely kill your drink. I mean, bitters kills your drink if you ruin it anyway. Yeah.
Man, it sounds like a really delicious drink, and I think one thing that you've done really well is you've used the basil and lemon, something that everyone's used. We know what basil and lemon tastes like, but creating a sherbet in a way that's really replicable. I think that's a really interesting twist. So congratulations to you, man. That's a really great modifier.
Yeah, well, I think you've got to do something a little bit different. I think just lemon juice and sugar, and obviously, in the kind of semi-finals, quarter-finals, there's points for innovation as well, and lemon juice and sugar doesn't really get you too many points, like so I'll be 30.
Maybe in Dubai, mate, but not here in Sweden.
Yeah, it's not really going to get you particularly much, but no, I want to do you could use lemon juice and sugar, and you can use a handful of fresh basil, and it's things that every bar's got, and you can walk behind and you can make some kind of twist on the drink. Like it doesn't have to be a lemon sherbet. You can use lemon juice and sugar. So I think it's one of the things. I think the other three guys here have all got something that's at least infused or kind of homemade, which is, doesn't make it impossible, but it makes it maybe a tiny little bit harder for kind of replicability or asking people to make the drink kind of on the bars and stuff. But actually, when we were in Cyprus at Lost and Found, we were talking about like Eric Van Beek's cocktail having yogurt. Natural yogurt, Greek yogurt in it.
Yeah, Greek yogurt.
And they were going like, it's a bit of a weird one because bars don't have yogurt, so you can't just go in and ask for it. And it's like, well, it's not a particularly random product. Like it's yogurt. Like you can get it. It's not like it's not the hardest thing. And we were kind of discussing that if you kind of twist around on that, we're talking about mojitos, and I was saying that bars don't have mint. You can't order a mojito in a bar because they happen to have mint. Bars have mint because people order mojitos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just every cocktail bar in the world doesn't just buy mint thinking we'll maybe use this for something at some point. Like you have to have it, and it's like if you kind of think a slightly different way of thinking, you can use something a little bit strange.
But what's funny about that, and this is kind of what drove Cubist Cocktail to the construction that it is. I live in Sweden, and in winter, nobody buys mint. It's quite expensive to get. It's not a commodity that people are after because they're not used to drinking mojitos in minus 20 degrees. So, whenever I see a drink that says add mint, like in this period of time, it's quite hard for me to do that. I can't order 3 sprigs of mint. And if I order a bunch, then it's not going to get used. So it's I had to think about all these kind of factors, and perhaps that helped me to create this really replicable drink. And another thing that really pushed Cubist into where it is today was, mate, I got two babies. I don't want to overcomplicate my life any more than I already have. I just wanted to look on the back bar. I wanted to see what was there, and I wanted to see, all right, I can use this. I don't have to leave anywhere. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to infuse anything. And that works for me. Like you said, infusing things is amazing, and anyone can do it. It just comes down to timing. It comes down to preparation. It comes down to cost and availability and all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to simplify my life. I do a terrible job of simplifying my life on a day-to-day basis. But in that one aspect, I can control that. Okay, I think we've lost Maddie for a second. Yes. So while we wait for Matt, I'm just going to talk to you guys about, kind of leading on into that chaotic life of being a parent and getting involved in Legacy. I think, is he back? No. Is he back? No. Okay. So that Dubai internet situation is pretty rubbish. But so Legacy is a slog. Are you back, matey?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, cool. So I just started delving into talking about legacy and parenthood, right? And trying to simplify things around you, because legacy is a 4-month competition, and it's a competition that if you take 2, 3, 4 days off, if you take a week off, if you're kind of lazy on a schedule, then you get left behind, right? So what challenges are you finding with being a parent and trying to keep your head above water with this?
Um, I mean, obviously, it is challenging trying to get that kind of get find time. But I was saying to Guy when we were in Cyprus from the Goodwill Cocktail, I was saying, it's I think once you've got kids, you start to like almost kind of segment things. You have to become more organized, and you have to kind of have things in boxes. So you've got, you have to find time to do things, because if you if you wait for an opportunity to come along, it's not going to come along. So just like with everyday life. So I think actually, it's been, yes, it's hard to find time to do it, but I think legacy is one of those interesting things as well, that you kind of see the people who are entering it kind of doing well, or maybe slightly older bartenders. I don't think there's as many kind of 20, 21-year-old bartenders who do as well at Legacy. You look at people that are more maybe kind of late 20s, early 30s, you kind of see people being a bit more kind of successful at it, because I think it's the kind of level of discipline that you need maybe when you're starting off and it's life's a big party. Maybe you don't quite have the discipline, but maybe once you get to that kind of more, I don't know, senior positions in bars, head bartenders, bar managers, you start to you kind of have that kind of setup, kind of in your head.
Man, that's such an interesting point, and something I've never really thought about before. That you go back to all the previous global winners, and yeah, and they're all over 27, and I
Yeah,
never really connected the dots as to why. I never really thought about it
yeah.
until you
I
just
mean,
mentioned it.
anyone who's 21 can win a rum comp, like throwing things around and setting them on fire, and like turning up the day before and having a few shots, and you it's like at our semi final. Like I wasn't. Everybody was having a few drinks. I didn't drink till after I'd been up. I was on like number 6 out of 8 of us. But just getting in your own heads, like just away from people, going over your speech, practicing what you're doing while everyone else is having the party. And I think it does take a certain amount of discipline to do that. I've been in comps when I've seen other people do that, and I haven't been doing that. So I've enjoyed the free drinks that are going around, and you get up and you don't, someone else has turned up and they've taken it properly seriously, and they've walked away with it. Especially for the big ones. Um, um, and it's my second time doing entering Legacy. I entered like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. But I didn't put a lot of thought into it. I had a little bit of a story, but I think as I've got further into this kind of process, I kind of look back on what I presented the first time in Legacy, and was kind of like, if I was a judge, knowing what the next 4 months hold for the 3-4 people that go through, I wouldn't have been putting me through, because I didn't put enough into it, and that I didn't have, there wasn't the next steps for what
Yeah,
I've done. It was kind of a little bit kind of off the cuff. So I think kind of something for Bacardi Legacy to be successful and to get to that top 4. We went from like 125 entries to 16 just in the bar, to down to 8 on like a live semi-final. Now we're down to 4. Um, so I think kind of even just together, they're looking for so many steps that maybe it just takes, they're looking for people who really are going to do something, and not just.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a really interesting point, and I think being a parent kind of it allows you to, like Matt says, to put things into boxes and to see things in a different style and in a different way. I know that I don't have the ability to do a lot of guest shifting. It's quite hard for me to leave the house. So I think having to find ways around this, uh, it's something that I can add into my marketing campaign, and I can use that as a quote unquote disadvantage. And if you're smart about how you reach people, and if you're smart in the way that you can connect with the world around you, in my case digitally, it can really be shifted to a positive.
Yeah,
So but what I'm finding with it is, it's everything that comes outside of having kids within a competition. It's kind of, I just alluded to it very quickly, but not being able to do guest shifts. Um, And then in the first couple of weeks of Legacy, I was kind of stressing to myself. I'm like, well, I'm not going to have guest shifts. I can't get sales. I can't get numbers. But then I realized like I don't need that. And I have to be a little bit more creative in the way that I approach venues and other bartenders. I have to be more creative in the way that I interact and in the way that I connect. So it's never a disadvantage. In fact,
No, absolutely
you
not.
know, in fact, it can be an advantage if it's used and implemented in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got too many options for things like guest shifts and too many easy options, then you take those easy options, and it's, yeah, you can do as many guest shifts as you want, but if you're doing 2, 3 guest shifts a week, yes, that's great, but it's not new. That's not a new idea. You're not going to get creativity points for that. But like these like kind of hangouts, there's not many other people doing things like that, and it's I remember when you first mentioned it, I was saying it was it's something I'm kind of organising, but not like a weekly one, but for bartenders here in Dubai. Because like I said about the kind of legacy and everybody kind of come together was to have like a kind of round the table kind of thing for bartenders to kind of talk about why what did they come here for, why Dubai, what does the bartending kind of scene here mean to them, as also like a kind of way of interacting with the industry as well. But yeah, I mean, you have to be. If it's too easy, then and you're not being forced to, then you're not going to think outside the box. And I think that's what
Yeah.
Legacy is certainly requiring you to do.
So I just got one ear out because oh, Mama Bear, she's got it. All right. So yeah, I think creativity is a really big thing, and being backed into a corner, I found that's really helped me. It's like you said, nobody's done these hangouts before, or connecting a more global community. And
Yeah.
is it a polished product? No, but it's starting with something, and
Yeah.
it's something that I'm super proud of, and it's
Yeah.
something that I suppose looking back to your idea is this now lives online forever. My kids grow older. They can look at this. They can you can learn from it, and it's kind of
Yeah.
tracing back to an origin point.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So tell everyone, if people end up tuning in to this and they're thinking about getting involved in legacy, and they're contemplating, parenthood and this kind of competition, give people some idea as to what your campaign is about, and how you're factoring everything into it.
Um, I suppose my campaign is kind of building up at the moment. So there's still, I mean, there are guest shifts and things in the pipeline, for the next few weeks. But I think also you have to, like you're talking about, kind of what your market is. The market in Dubai is very much like one drink is really expensive, but 20 drinks is really cheap. So there's a lot of like kind of packages and stuff. There's a lot of like brunches all have, you pay X amount for brunch and it's eat and drink as much as you can. That's like the big Friday thing, is the brunch and, ladies' days at the pools and stuff, beach clubs. So the beach clubs.
Beach clubs in Dubai. What?
Pay €30 and it's, as much frosé as you can drink for the girls, but guys, it's $250 for the guys. So kind of like, I think when I was kind of starting thinking, it's like you can go and you can make as many kind of like single cocktails as you want, or if you want volume and you want people who are going to Instagram a lot, get yourself in a beach club, adapt your drink into a slushy, and you can chuck out 100 in an hour and a half. Like, it's so I think kind of for the market here is, if you want to do that in volume and get people out there and get them trying the drink, because if you want a classic, I think a classic, which is what Bacardi Legacy is looking for, the next kind of classic, look to see if your drink can be adapted as well, because people are going to adapt it. So you kind of going, okay, it's lemon and basil. It's like, well, I could do that as a daiquiri. I could take the egg white, or, people aren't really into egg white here, so it's like, a bit of methyl cellulose or something. And take out, can you make it as a daiquiri? Yes, you can. Lemon, basil, Bacardi, crushed ice. Can you make it as a mojito? Yeah, you can. Can you chuck it in a slushy machine? yes, you can. So if you kind of look at if your flavors work, then you can kind of throw it out anywhere in any kind of opportunity, which I'm sure the Cubist cocktail can pretty much adapt it to kind of chucking that out long, nice.
That was one thing that was really key for me. Adaptability. I wanted it to be super easy. I wanted it to be accessible, replicable, and adaptable. So people have asked me, well, what glass can I put it in? And I tell them, like, mate, drink it out of a shoe. As long as you're making it and enjoying it, it doesn't matter what glass it's really in.
Yeah.
On ice, on the rocks, up neat, down there. Hang on, my little all right. Keep talking about your legacy. Keep talking about Dubai. I'm gonna go check up on the boy.
Okay. Okay. Well, I've never done a webinar, not to anyone. So, what do you guess? What do I want to talk about then? Yeah, obviously we were talking about trying to plan with having a kid. And trying to do legacy at the same time. Advice for people doing legacy, I suppose, would be the advice that. Okay, you're back. I was just going to say, kind of the advice that I was given by most people who've done fairly well at legacy is kind of plan in advance and kind of almost spreadsheet it, treat it like maths. If this is how many drinks you want to sell, how many bars you want to put it in, how many do you need to do a week, how many do you need to do a month. And I think getting stuff done early, I think it's a constant learning process. It's weird doing it like when you get to the top 3 or the top 4 because you're constantly watching what the other people are doing. And it's a really weird way to do a cocktail competition. Like, can you imagine if you're doing say you're doing world class, but every day you had to make a video of what you were doing, if you drink or something, and share it with everybody else who's in the competition? You'd be going, well, I don't want to do that. And the more kind of people you talk to, the more videos you watch, the more the more Bacardi Legacy Instagrams you watch. Because I probably spend more time on my legacy one than I do my own one at the moment. And weirdly enough, if you hit search on my Instagram, it's all Cardi B. I think I don't know if they've done something really weird, but it's all the search one's all Cardi B videos. And everyone's like, just kind of make a plan and do it early. And I think Marco, who won Dubai last year or UAE last year, he'd been in the year before and he got into the top 4 and he didn't win. And he just came back and went I'm going to do it this year. I came so close last time, and it was so he was so annoyed that he came so close and I didn't get there that he was like, right, well, I'm going to do it. And obviously he had more ideas and it was a massive advantage. You get through to the top 4, he starts the next day. He's already got a plan of exactly what he wants to do. I think if I do it again, I'll either be unemployed.
Unemployed, divorced, alone, but hey, at least you'll be a national champion. So Matty was talking about advice that the previous winners have given. Some advice that I was given was that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, and not to overload and to burden yourself with a million different things and do a million things at 1% well. Better to do 2 things, 3 things, and then do them 100% well. And it's one thing that I kind of struggle with. I kind of struggle with limiting myself and the opportunities. But over the last couple of weeks, I've started cutting things back. I've started refining my campaign, making it a little bit leaner, making it a little bit more concise, and understanding where things are going, when they need to get done, how they need to get done, how it's going to affect my campaign, and then how can I implement that into a presentation. So like Matt said, it's a learning process, and if you've never done it before, it can be quite daunting, and it can be really overwhelming. In fact, so a little bit of advice is just don't overpack yourself.
Just like
Don't
lying in
don't
bed and seeing someone else's Instagram about what they were doing. I was like I've not done that, or like they're doing better than me. I was just lying in bed, like get up, and make a, but yeah, like make a plan, execute plan, don't fail. It's
Yeah, I mean, having a really concise plan. I remember I spoke to Goodwill over in Israel about this, about, you know, sometimes we can have a million different thoughts, but those thoughts they may never materialize into anything because, you know, halfway through getting this activation done, you realize that there is no red thread. There's no connect back to your story or back to your concept or
yeah,
back to your theme. And really, I mean, as an art theory for cubist, I could go to a bunch of different places and I can do a million different activities. But
yeah,
a lot of these won't have any relevance to art theory. And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
not what they're looking for.
Yeah. You can make 10,000 drinks on a guest shift, but you know if it doesn't link back to your story, yeah, then there's what's the point? What are you really gaining from that?
Yeah, and on the point of guest shifts, I just spoke to my brand ambassador today. Shout out to Jimmy Hulth if he's ever ends up tuning into this. Um, he told me drop the guest shifts, man. You don't need them. Focus in on this one key account that you have. Focus in on the things you're doing online. Focus on the extracurricular marketing that you're doing.
Yeah,
Um, there's no point going to a guest shift and selling 25 drinks.
yeah,
It doesn't do anyone any good.
yeah. It's. I mean, I think it's a fine balance as well. I think at the same time, like I understand what you're saying there, but I think at the same time you do to a certain extent have to get out there a little bit. Like at the end of the day, it's yes, we're all doing this kind of like marketing campaign, and we're all trying to do something that's kind of outside the box and something that no one else is doing. But I think part of me still thinks like it's the bare bones of bartending. Like to get back to it is if you're not getting out there and going behind the bar and speaking to a customer and saying this drink's gonna be amazing, would you like to try it, and seeing their reaction as they drink it, engaging that kind of one to one of the things that we do every day, then it's hard to be a bartender from behind a computer. It's
Yeah,
not. It's so far removed from actually what the drink will be, because the drink's not an idea. It's not. It's an actual. It's a thing with
yeah,
with ice and
yeah,
Bacardi and stuff all mixed up. And if people can't see a bartender making it and giving it to them and having that experience of being in a bar and drinking it, then it's then you end up with just a lot of pictures of
yeah.
of a pretty drink, and it
I, I
then it
think
takes you away
I,
from the point.
I think what it boils down to is because you're so short on time.
Yeah,
Your guest shifts they really need to be of value, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
I've done one guest shift and it was in a small local little cocktail bar, and it's a really cool place, but it's not high volume, and it's not going to do anything for me, right?
yeah,
So I think it's more of like when you guys went to Lost and Found. Like this is a world-known, world-renowned establishment. Having a presence and having your drink sold in that venue, that weighs 20 times more than being in a local Swedish pub. Okay, so Maddie just tuned out for a second. But I'll just briefly finish off with we're talking about guest shifts and understanding when to do a guest shift and when not to do a guest shift. So when it comes to the topic of guest shifts, it's quality over quantity. I believe. I think that going to an established, well-known top 50 restaurant or bar and being seen there, being promoted there, having your drink present within this this air of exclusivity. That 100 drinks sold there versus 250 drinks sold in a pub, it's incomparable. The renowned venue will always win over. So instead of killing yourself and trying to secure 50 different bars that have no real name or any relevance within the industry, better to secure one or two venues, and really zero in on these two venues, and make sure that you can establish a really good relationship with these bars. We'll give it just a couple of seconds, and if Maddie drops out, then we'll pick this up another day. So it's interesting to hear Matt's point of view, because not only is he a dad, but he's a dad competing in Legacy in a relatively new market. So I was really interested to hear about what he had to say in terms of planning and understanding that maturity is a benefit in a competition like this. So it's a really refreshing perspective. I think it's something that I never thought of. I'm living it daily. I'm 29 years old now, and I have more or less fragments of my life in order. But when it comes to legacy, I think parts of being a parent has helped me to understand values and importances. All right. Well, I think we're going to end it there, because Maddie's internet is absolute garbage. Nothing. He's just a stiff image on my screen. So we're going to end it there for tonight, guys. It's been an awesome pleasure speaking to Matt very briefly and fragmented. But stay tuned. We'll post something else in our bios, and we'll look to do Radical Hangout number 23 part B later on. All right, take it easy. Ciao.